At 7:03 a.m., the polls open inside your head. On one side, candidate responsible adult, neatly dressed, holding a water bottle, whispering dangerous propaganda like, maybe stretch for 2 minutes. On the other side, candidate Couch Goblin, no shoes, one hand in a snack bag. Campaign slogan, tomorrow, obviously, tomorrow. And every tiny action is a vote. Open the Notes app instead of doom scrolling. One vote for I follow through. Hit snooze 6 times and wake up shaped like a question mark. One vote for I am basically a duvet with tax obligations. The weird part is that neither vote looks important in the moment. Nobody eats one cookie and instantly becomes Lord Biscuit, Duke of Crumbs. Nobody does one push-up and becomes a marble statue with Wi-Fi. But habits are not only about results. They are evidence. Tiny, repetitive, weirdly persuasive evidence. So the real question is not, how do you force yourself to change? The better question is, how many small votes does it take before your brain stops arguing and starts believing a new story about who you are? Most people try to change from the outside in. They start with the scoreboard. Lose weight, save money, write more, learn something, stop arriving late like a dramatic entrance is a personality. Then they build a process around it. Gym plan, budget app, morning routine, checklist, color-coded calendar, possibly a notebook so pretty it makes them feel successful before doing anything. Very dangerous object. Those 2 levels matter. Outcomes tell you where you want to go. Processes tell you what to do next. But the deepest level is identity, the story you believe about the kind of person you are. And that story has veto power. If the plan says, go for a walk, but the identity says, I am not the kind of person who exercises, the walk has to win a full courtroom trial before it can happen. The shoes become evidence. The weather becomes evidence. The left sock being mildly suspicious becomes evidence. Suddenly, the brain has produced a 47-page legal brief titled, Reasons We Cannot Possibly Walk Today. This is why a habit can make perfect sense and still feel weirdly impossible. The action is not just an action. It is a small threat to the existing self-image. I am bad with money. I am not a morning person. I always quit. I am terrible with technology. These labels sound like descriptions, but after enough repetition, they become campaign ads. They run in the background, cheaply produced, emotionally manipulative, and somehow always on during prime time. The brain likes consistency, not always truth. Consistency. Research on identity-based motivation has found that people are more likely to act when a behavior feels connected to who they are, and more likely to resist when it feels like it belongs to someone else. Habit research also keeps pointing to the same boring villain: repetition in a stable context. Do the thing enough times in a similar setting, and the action starts requiring less debate. Terrible news for anyone hoping transformation would arrive as a lightning bolt while they were lying on the floor eating cereal from a mug. The good news is that identity is not a stone tablet. It is more like a vote count. Every action says, maybe this is me. Study for 10 minutes? Vote. Put the phone in another room? Vote. Apologize before the ego hires a publicist? Vote. Take the stairs? Vote. Write one sentence? Vote. None of these actions proves anything alone. One good vote does not elect a new identity. One bad vote does not destroy it either. This is the part perfectionists hate, because perfectionists want a unanimous election. They want every vote to be clean, pure, laminated, and approved by a tiny committee wearing robes. But identity does not need unanimity. It needs a majority. Miss one workout, and the newsroom inside your skull does not need to declare, "Breaking news, fitness identity dead at the scene." That is not journalism. That is brain clickbait. The actual headline should be, "Single precinct reports disappointing numbers. Overall race still open." This matters because the fastest way to quit is to treat one missed habit as proof that the old identity was right all along. You planned to wake up early. You slept in. Then the old campaign manager appears with a cigar and says, "See? We told you. Not a morning person. Shut down the whole operation." But one vote is not a verdict. The smarter move is to ask, what is the next smallest vote? Not the heroic vote. Not the movie trailer vote where you sprint up a mountain while violins file taxes in the background. The smallest vote. If "I am a runner" feels fake, vote for "I am someone who puts on running shoes." If "I am a writer" feels ridiculous, vote for "I am someone who opens the document." If "I am disciplined" sounds like a personal attack, vote for "I am someone who does the first 2 minutes." Small votes are powerful because the brain is easier to persuade with evidence than speeches. Telling yourself, "I am organized," while your desk looks like a raccoon solved a crime there, weak campaign. Putting one thing back after using it, better. Not glamorous. No one will make a statue. But it is evidence. And evidence compounds. At first, the identity sounds like a costume. You are acting like the person before fully believing you are the person. That is normal. Every new identity has an awkward phase. Even responsible adult starts as a child in a blazer holding a banana like a phone. But repeat the action and the argument changes. The brain starts with, "This is not me." Then it becomes, "Apparently we do this sometimes." Then, "Maybe this is what we do." And eventually, on a very ordinary Tuesday, it stops holding a meeting. That is the quiet win. Not motivation, not a personality transplant, just fewer negotiations. The danger is that identity can help or trap you. "I am the healthy one" can support good decisions. But if it becomes rigid, it can turn into weird moral theater where one slice of cake requires a press conference. "I am a hard worker" can build consistency, but it can also become a permission slip to ignore sleep, relationships, and the fact that your left eye has been twitching since March. The point is not to build a tiny prison labeled "New Me" and move in with a scented candle. The point is to make identity flexible enough to guide behavior without becoming a dictator. A useful identity is not "I never fail." It is "I return quickly," not "I am always disciplined." "I can cast the next vote," not "This is who I am forever." This is who I am practicing becoming. So the 2-step process is simple, but not fluffy. First, decide the kind of person a behavior belongs to, not just, "I want to finish a course." Ask, what kind of person finishes courses? Maybe someone who protects 30 minutes, someone who studies before entertainment, someone who continues after confusion instead of treating confusion like a poisonous snake. Then prove it with small wins, not once, repeatedly, boringly. In tiny precincts, no one applauds, because the self-image does not change when the motivational speech is loud. It changes when the vote count becomes hard to ignore. That is the answer to the election inside your head. You do not need to win every vote. You do not need to become a new person by sunrise. You do not need a dramatic reinvention montage with fog machines and suspiciously clean gym lighting. You need enough small votes, cast often enough that your brain has to update the story. And if yesterday's vote went to Couch Goblin, fine. Polls are open again.